Hey, this is John Carlos, and I'm here with a look at the NECA Ultimate Professor Burke action figure from London after midnight. Boy, oh boy, do I have a lot of feelings about this figure and just the fact that it exists, but I'll get to that later. First, we should focus on the actual figure itself, and I gotta say, my ankle joints are a little loose, makes the figure want to tip over. Not the worst complaint, I just need to adjust the knees a bit and figure out the right balance. But starting off with this head, this amazing, amazing portrait of Professor Burke. This head is, in my opinion, outstanding. If I remember correctly, Lon Chaney used some appliances in his mouth to kind of create the specific shape of his smile and lips and cheek. And it's an image that has endured for decades. And I think NECA has done a great job of capturing that look in this scale. The paint on the hair is good. The paint on the top of the head with the matted hair, the little comb over, is really well done. But the intensity of those eyes, and the fact they're looking down slightly with this particular smile, because this figure comes with 3 heads and they're slight variations, they're very similar. But this is my favorite head. The teeth in particular, the teeth paint, is incredibly like detailed, really little considering just considering the size of the teeth. The actual paint lines there on the teeth are outstanding. Let's take a look at the other heads. We get these two. This one is similar a bit to this one. They're both smiling, but the eyes are more straightforward. The smile isn't as big and ghoulish, but the straightforward look is interesting. And then we get this drunk one with the lowered eyelids and the kind of goofier smile. And then here's the hat that just plops right on. Pretty simple, but I do like the kind of matted black of the top and then the shine of the like little, you know, fabric, the little bow going around the side of it. One of the more interesting things about this figure, because there's not a lot of detail as far as, you know, it's pants, it's a coat over, you know, like a vest. The paint on it's all really good, the wrinkling's really good. But what's interesting is this, you know, little cloak, this little cape that goes over, that has a really nice flow to it, has a nice little shine at the edge there. I love the way this looks, I love the way it matches the rest of the figure, but it does come with a soft goods alternative if you're into that sort of thing, which I'm not. If you've seen my reviews of action figures and you follow my recurring complaint about cloth goods, is one, this coat, this vest, this shirt are all supposed to be cloth, but they're made of plastic. Continuity-wise, all the cloth is represented in plastic. Then you add actual cloth, and now it doesn't match the rest of the figure. So I just don't like soft goods for that. Also, most soft goods don't work proportionately in such a small scale. This is thin, so it doesn't get all stiff and you know, well, stiff and restrictive. That's the advantage of this, is you can actually have articulation with this, whereas this one you wouldn't be able to raise the arm up. But you could just see out of the package, like, this is wrinkled, and like, not just wrinkled, but like stuck in this. I'd have to like steam it just to like get these lines out, to get this to lay right. Not a big fan of soft goods. It's nice they included it for dorks who are into soft goods, but that's just not me. The figure comes out of the package with open palm right hand and kind of 2 finger sort of pointing left hand. We also get this really good finger pointing right hand that really matches like the poster of the movie. We also get this gripping right hand, it's a tight grip, and sort of an open, wider grip left hand, kind of loose, vaguely finger pointing. But that first grip hand, that tight right grip hand, is for gripping this lantern. It's a good looking lantern. Yeah. Lastly, we have the best accessory, which is his sort of overly theatrical bat wings, bat cape attachment. If you've seen the movie, then you know what I'm talking about. This is made of a rubbery material, and I do like that it's sort of translucent here, and then when you get towards the middle, the darker wrinkle sections becomes a little less translucent. There's a little bit of almost like a shading to it. I don't know if that's painted that way or if that's just a byproduct of the way it's manufactured, but it looks great. This just slides over the little neck section there. And this little loop just fits right over where the wrist peg plugs into the hole. And oh my god, does this look good. It really helps to bring the arms all the way up so that the edges where it meets the wrist are pulled up as much as possible. so there's no wiggle or bend, but, you know, and then you bend the wrists in a little bit and you really get the full effect. I think this might be my favorite look for this figure. It's one of the more classic moments in the movie. It's one of the more classic looks of the movie, and I think on the shelf, that looks pretty good. Here's the figure with the head swapped out for the drunk face and holding the lantern while also rocking the soft goods cape once again. Now I've switched out the head for the more straightforward smiling face and the finger pointing right hand, and this is also a pretty iconic look from the film. It's kind of a classic pose, definitely used for the poster. I'm having a hard time deciding whether I want to leave the figure in this pose or with the bat wings, but I will say, just doing this pose, I can see why they included the soft goods cloak after all, because if you want to do the full arm extension, because I've only bent it at the elbow a little bit, if you want to do the full arm for finger point, I will admit this part of the soft goods cloak does sort of bend out and look weird, and this is why soft goods might help. I can't see them including another sculpted cloak that is a little more open. However, even though I get why there's a soft goods, I still don't like it, but boy do I like posing the figure like this. So I'm a pretty big fan of silent era horror films, and NECA as a company has always been very invested in making horror toys. Some of the very first toys they made were Beetlejuice figures and Hellraiser figures, and over the years they've gone on to make lots and lots of horror things. Randy is a big fan of horror, and they've made horror figures from brands and IPs that would make a lot of money and make sense. Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween and Saw and all sorts of stuff. Going and making a figure from London After Midnight does not seem like the obvious thing. Like, you know Freddy Krueger's gonna sell. I don't know how many people out there are gonna buy a Professor Burke figure, but let me just tell you, I'm a big fan of London After Midnight. The image of Lon Chaney with the top hat and the bat, like, it's burned into my head as one of the great, like, iconic horror characters. And what makes it all the more impressive is that no one's seen the movie in, like, God, almost 100 years, because it's not available anymore. I saw, I think it was made like in 2004, like an assembly of production photos, and they added score to it and used the script, and they kind of made a makeshift mock-up of what the movie kind of would have been with photographs. And just watching that, I was just so impressed by, like, the performance you could see in the photos of his pose, of his face. So the fact that NECA has made a toy of a movie that none of us can watch because there's no available print of it that we know of, is all the more impressive. It shows how dorky Randy and the NECA team are about really mining horror and appealing to horror fans. I can't stress this enough. There's no movie. We can't go see it. And yet, this image has stood the test of time, not just in my brain, but for generations of people who know Dr. Burke, who know Lon Chaney's amazing work as a performer. I mean, just look at this face. It's already a cool figure, but I really am just, like, chef's kiss for them to even make this figure. I'm really, really, really surprised by this. It does not seem like the obvious choice, but you can tell that this is made by fans for fans. I love it. I just wish the ankle joints were a little tighter. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this figure, and if you want to be up to date with all my latest reviews, be sure to click subscribe.